Welcome to season 2 of our podcast, Break the Line, brought to you by the Youth Advisory Board at the Boston Public Health Commission's Youth Prevention Program. Today we're going to be talking about the difficulties navigating and accessing youth employment opportunities in Boston. First, we want to tell you more about us. I'm Max, my pronouns are he, they. I'm 19 and I live in Dorchester.
And I'm Zay, my pronouns are he, him. I'm 16 and I live in Roxbury and I go to Westwood High School.
I'm Dee, my pronouns are she, her. I'm 14, I live in Hyde Park and I go to Boston Green Academy.
And I'm John. My pronouns are he, him. I'm 16 years old and I live in Dorchester. I go to Madison Park Technical Vocational High School.
For this episode, I wanted to discuss navigating and accessing youth employment on the podcast because it's an issue that's incredibly important yet often overlooked. For many young people, finding our first job or launching our career, it can be very daunting and a confusing process. And this is a very important stage in our lives that can shape our future opportunities and long-term success.
I wanted to discuss this topic because even though me personally, I didn't really have a hard time finding or getting a job, I did have that little bit of time where I was a bit stressed, a little aggravated about the jobs I was trying to get and the not finding a kind of job that I feel like I would want to do. And I have had friends who have had difficulties. But even if I myself haven't had many difficulties, I know it's a problem for a lot of people, and it is something important that needs to be addressed. Whether or not from personal experience I've had problems.
I want to discuss this topic because it's way harder to have a job as a teen because of school. Because if you do a sport, you have to go to practice every day. Or if you have to do homework or chores around the house. Because my mom asked me to do a chore and I was doing something for my job. CopeCode Club is this program of where they teach you different coping skills. A few of my favorites were move, think, and sing. And then as soon as I get a job and I forget what to do, she's mad at me. It just makes me feel frustrated.
I had a similar problem as Dee. My mom has advised me to quit multiple jobs. One I have quit, one she still tries to get me to quit. And sometimes for reasons that don't really relate to the job, and she just really wants me to quit. Even though she was the one who had got on me in the first place about getting a job, for a long time. It's just confusing and frustrating at times. Other than that, I don't really have many problems, with my mom and my job.
No, something that I also find really frustrating about, parents and jobs is that I don't feel like my mother respects the time that I'm doing at my job. She always calls when I'm at work, and when I don't respond to her texts, she spams me, and every time, she wants me to do something, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually going to work. She acts like I planned, I scheduled the work day. She acts like I scheduled the work day to interfere with her plans. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I actually just called my boss, and I asked him to schedule it, so, because I knew you were going to ask me it. No. It's just a schedule that I've had for the past month. Finding a job, though, there's a lot of resources, at school, the library, job websites. I see hiring signs all over the place. I do think it's difficult navigating employee, manager relationships, being at the workplace and dealing with, the people there. I feel like that's more difficult. What about you guys? What do you think makes it hard for teens to get a job in Boston?
I feel for a lot of teens, it's experience, not really knowing how to properly put together a resume, or some might not even know they need a resume at all. And it's also competition with more experienced, older people, maybe college students. Say a teen is trying to get a job, I don't know, maybe they're 15, say, and they have never worked a job before. They don't have much experience, so they don't, and like, let's say they know how to make a resume. They don't really have anything to put on that resume. Like, hey, I want to apply for this job. Oh, my experience, what I'm good at? Well, I'm good at doing this, but I don't have the experience to prove it. I've never worked a job before. And then like the employer sees like a college student that comes in and goes like, oh, I've done this for this long, and I'm really good with this. And here's some of my old employer's numbers for you to call them, get the references, and well, the employer is gonna see these two people, and who do you think they're gonna choose? So for teens, I feel like it's the competition. There's other problems too, but.
Yeah, I agree with John. I also think it's hard to get a job in Boston because of like school hours and like babysitting, like your siblings and stuff like that. And like I feel like adults don't realize like what a struggle balancing this stuff is.
The difficulty about having a job, once again, it's either sports or you're tired and you want to go home and take a nap, but you gotta go to work. So it's just, or your sleep schedule is so messed up that you still get up on time and somehow it's still late to work, even though you woke up at 8 o'clock. Somehow it's still late, and it's just really hard because us teens like to stay up on the phone or play the video games or watch TV or listen to music all night and snack. So it's very hard because waking up on time is the worst thing about it. I was actually kind of nervous to get a job at 14 because, like, the lack of experience that I have. I always told my mom I wanted to get a job when I turned 14, and I got a job. And I was actually kind of scared because I didn't know if they wasn't going to like me or not, or I wasn't going to adjust right away.
So how do you think we can make it easier for teens to find a job in Boston?
So I know that like earlier Max mentioned like how they got this job through a hiring opportunity they found at a library. I like really haven't seen that around. Like I don't know if it's in specific areas or anything, but like I think there should be more of them.
Or just the opportunities in general. Like at my old high school, there's a lot of programs that offered jobs, and for the library, it was actually a copy library in the teen center. There's like a lot of like posters around, and like a few of them are job opportunities or just community things that are happening. Like I do feel like there's websites, there's things online, so I feel like it just depends on like where you're looking.
I think teens should go to a trusted adult, or ask an older friend to help them with the process. I also think parents should be more understanding, especially since parents are often the ones telling their kids to get a job. Like, how are you gonna tell me to do this and then also be mad at me that I don't have time to do for chores?
I think like just making teens more aware that jobs are out there, because like what John said, the fact that he hasn't really seen them brings up a valid point of like there are a lot of opportunities, but just not a lot of people know about them because I don't think they're advertised too much. So I guess making teens more aware that they're out there, and helping them know where to look.
What role do community programs and nonprofit organizations play in supporting youth employment? And how can they be leveraged effectively, in your opinion?
Like the community programs or the city had like events for the youth that we could attend where they teach us stuff. Like we'd get to talk with other teenagers also looking out for like a job, but like also be more supported by the adults in our community.
How can parents and guardians support their child in navigating the job market?
I think that they should maybe like have a sit down with their kid and try to work through it with them. I'm not saying that parents just don't do this, but there are many that do, or like parents that are willing to. The kid doesn't want help, but there are also many who just say, get a job and expect us to work it out ourselves because we're old enough to them. And we might be old enough, but usually people will need help and guidance first. People will need to be like taught like, oh, this is what you do, or like even just going like, hey, go here. Go here and search for jobs here could be helpful, like giving them the first direction instead of just going like, get a job, figure it out. So even just helping a little bit by like pointing out like, hey, you can go to this website or you can go to this place and get a job here. It can work wonders for people.
How do you think stereotypes make it harder to get a job?
There's bias and like negative stereotypes on people like really affect, like even if some people don't even realize like that they're going off of a stereotype or like that they're being biased based on a stereotype. Sometimes it's just like been ingrained into people's minds. So sometimes that will affect like an employer's choice on like who they're gonna hire, whether or not they're gonna hire someone, and even affect like if they do get the job, affect how they're going to treat them. While I'm not trying to undermine it like anywhere, like I feel like some areas could also be more prominent in stereotypes or how people feel about another group of people than others, like different neighborhoods, states, different workplaces, like even down to that, like they could all have different opinions on groups of people. And like I said, they could not even realize that they have these.
Yeah, I agree with John in a similar way. I feel like it can be harder to get a job if you're a certain type of race. So like, say if you're Asian and you're like in a spot where like a lot of people don't like Asians, or like if you're like black, they might not like want you to work over there or something, you know, because they think you're not a good fit for it.
What stereotypes about people of color do you think makes it harder for them to get a job?
Stereotypes about people of color that I've heard are they're lazy, they don't work hard enough, they steal, and just other things like that.
Going off of what Dee said, like those attributes could be put onto anybody, or like and there's like literally people in this room who prove those kinds of stereotypes wrong. Some employers don't take time to like accurately assess a person. They just kind of see them, know some stereotypes, and go, nah.
It makes me feel very sad because there can be a person that I like or I enjoy being around, and they could be like black or white, and then someone might like think different of them because they're skin color, but the whole time they're a different person.
I don't like stereotypes because like I have all different kinds of friends of different races and ethnicities. Like I live in what is known as a black community, and everyone there is like super nice, but I have had family members, people I am related to, who have been like, I don't want to go there. There are a bunch of dangerous people in that neighborhood. And it's like, it upsets me. Like, I mean, I am not the target of what they're saying, but the neighbors and the people I live around are. And like, I know a few of my neighbors, and they're really nice people. So it's like, and like I have lived in that community for years, and there aren't a lot of bad people out there. And so it's, and like the fact that it's like family members saying this as well, I can only imagine like employers and other people.
I mean, the stereotypes are everywhere, they're ingrained into society. It's just really unfortunate to hear ignorant people say very untrue things about people. It's also a little annoying because it's like if you took like maybe 5 minutes to just Google. Just get on Google. You would find out that you're wrong, but they just like to stay in that little comfortable, ignorant little bubble of theirs, and it just doesn't feel great to hear about stereotypes. Also, one time when I was at work, this woman, she came in, she was like, "Oh, you Americans, so lazy." As I was working, as I was doing my job, she was telling me how I'm lazy and how all Americans are lazy. So yeah, stereotypes aren't great.
Stereotypes make me feel more than what I am. Not like low self-esteem, but like, dang, I try to show you I'm nice, but you judge me by my skin color. And the attitude I gave you is not because I have an attitude towards you, it's because you made me have an attitude because you judged me in my skin color, you judged me the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I look. So having stereotypes about people is just, it's annoying, especially in this messed up society, because everybody judges people for how they look. It's not fun.
Like, we've been talking a lot about like race and ethnicity stereotypes, but there are other types of stereotypes as well. There's gender stereotypes, like stereotypes on the LGBTQ plus community, and like people with like disabilities. Like I have had people go like, you don't tell an employer that you're diabetic, because they won't hire you, or there's a chance that they won't hire you. And it's like, diabetes isn't like this crippling disability that's gonna stop me from working, but it's going to have those complications that they don't want. Those aren't the only types of stereotypes as well. There's like all different kinds for like sometimes even like the most obscure, dumbest little reasons, like maybe the way somebody dresses. There's all types of reasons why you can be judged, just like from look or what you said, anything really like about you. Employers can get like one glance at you and go like, oh, or maybe they've taken a look at your profile on a social media account of yours, and they kind of look at you and they go like, no, not this one, before you even walk into the room for the interview, or like before you even get on the call for the interview or anything.
Have y'all had trouble with coworkers or navigating the environment?
At my previous job, one of my coworkers, or one of my managers actually, just had it out for me. Like, she would be all like chatting with the other employees, being super nice to them, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, and I'd like pop into the conversation, completely ignore me, and talk to everyone else. I'd ask her like, hey, is there anything I can do? Like, do you need me to clean up? Do you need me to restock this? Like, can you just give me an assignment thing? She's like, no, I don't need you to do anything. And then complain that I wasn't doing anything and report me to the store manager. So that was like super frustrating.
I haven't had any experience of navigating with negative coworkers.
I wouldn't really say like of the jobs I've had, like in one of them there were no other coworkers around, and for the other three, I didn't really have any problems or grievances with coworkers or even my bosses. So I can't say that I've had any trouble with that. No.
Yeah, I had no experience either.
This was a great conversation. I hope that the people listening to this podcast, especially adults, hear what we say and are more understanding of what teens in Boston are dealing with. It would be great if schools and communities, organizations could do a better job of helping us with this stuff, like teaching us more about resume building and interviewing.
Parents can also take a lot away from this episode of how to be more supportive of teens who are trying to get a job. I think that's about all the time we have for today, and that would be the end of this episode of Break the Line. Make sure you check out our other episodes here to talk about important topics related to substance use, mental health, and being a teenager in Boston. Be sure to visit our website at copecodeclub.com and keep an eye out for more episodes. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at CopeCode Club. Bye!